Tonight, the return of light rail as Metronet picks up pace and new Liberal faces signal the start of an election race.
Dozens in hospital after a mass poisoning scare at an ice rink.
Perth's heatwave blamed for an algal bloom muddying the waters off a northern suburbs beach.
Peter Dutton's vowed to rip up new laws giving workers a right to disconnect after hours.
Why ham is being junked, new rules for school canteens sparking concern more might shut.
And a Ryan Daniels exclusive, an Eagle Star reveals the injury toll that could end his career.
Live from Perth, 7 News with Tim McMillan and Angela Tsun.
Good evening. Light rail is set to make a comeback in Western Australia years after the state ditched trams.
The Cook government is pulling out all stops to pump up its public transport credentials as new faces set the pace for an election in 13 months.
Cost of living and housing pressure will rank highly at next year's state election, but so will Labor's marquee offering, Metronet. Whole rail lines and brand new stations due to come into service around the time people will go to the polls.
2024 will be the year of Metronet.
Today, a small offering, more Metro Light than Metronet, the return of trams. Whiteman Park operates a private fleet of electric trams on 3 kilometres of rail around its 4,000-hectare bushland setting. With $1 million from the state government and help from Metronet contractors, the Perth Electric Tramway Society will lay another kilometre of track to run the tram all the way to Whiteman Park train station.
For example, travelling on a Sunday, free travel on the Sunday, arriving here, and then free travel on the tram next year into Whiteman Park proper.
The last tram to run on Perth streets was in 1958 from Grand Promenade to the Barich Street jetty. Its route number was number 66, and that's the number that will be assigned to the first tram to run on this new service. And WA Parliament resumes this week, a big year ahead for Premier Roger Cook and the man who wants into Parliament, Liberal pre-selection candidate Basil Zempilas, both working the crowd at Chinese New Year celebrations. Not celebrating this weekend, David Honey, after being dumped by the Liberals to continue as member for Cottesloe. At 66, seen by some as too old, as leader he struggled to get his message out.
Fight like a chihuahua. A chihuahua. Chihuahua. She would fight like a chihuahua. They're fierce. They're fierce fighters.
The decisions yesterday led to the deselecting of a former leader of the party. And so I would have thought that they'd show people a bit more respect.
Jeff Parry, 7 News.
The livestock ship, which spent days stranded off Fremantle, is returning there tonight. Monique Dirks is there. Mon, is there a new plan for the animals on board the Bahija?
Angela, good evening. Yes, there is. The ship is on its way back here tonight. It will anchor just off the coast and then it will dock here in Fremantle around midday tomorrow. The Premier has confirmed the plan at this stage is to take all the animals off the ship. The cattle were taken off late last week, but thousands of sheep were left on board as the exporter tried to win approval to use an alternative route to reach the Middle East, but that's proved impossible. It will be quite the operation to take the sheep off. It will require at least 20 trucks with around 600 sheep loaded onto each one. The sheep will then head off to a quarantine facility, but their fate after that is unclear. Tim.
Mon, thank you. Dozens of people have fallen ill after a mass poisoning at an ice rink in Adelaide. They were suddenly overcome by carbon monoxide fumes, left choking and spluttering during a women's hockey game.
The Melbourne Ice fly out of Adelaide after a disastrous weekend.
No comment. No, I'm good.
They lost to the Adelaide Rush.
And there it is. Adelaide, they get the dub at home on the Saturday.
Only then to succumb to carbon monoxide poisoning.
It can make you very, very sick and it can go on to lead to unconsciousness and seizures and even in some cases be fatal.
A pipe on this Zamboni, a machine used to resurface the ice, ruptured, sending dangerous fumes through the arena.
I definitely wouldn't have predicted something like this.
38 people ended up needing treatment.
Some people did receive oxygen.
Firefighters rushed to the scene just after after 3 a.m. and spent all night monitoring gas levels.
The girls had presented to the Royal Adelaide Hospital with symptoms of headaches, nausea, vomiting, that sort of thing, which is classic carbon monoxide poisoning.
SafeWork SA has now taken over the investigation and will determine whether the incident could have been prevented. But the ice arena says the machine was recently serviced.
We are very serious about safety here at the ice arena, and everybody's trained to do what they're supposed to be doing.
Melbourne's coach pleased to be heading home.
We're feeling well.
Mitchell Sariovsky, 7 News.
An emergency unfolded in front of a packed Scarborough beachfront today when a man was pulled unconscious from the water. Ambulances were already on hand for a volleyball event and medics rushed to help lifeguards performing CPR, but sadly the man in his 40s couldn't be revived.
Swimmers at a popular beach in Perth's north have launched a fundraising campaign to test water quality. It comes as another algal bloom was spotted above a treated sewage pipe near Mullaloo Beach. Watercorp says the sea sawdust is naturally occurring.
A Northern Beaches dispute again brought to the surface. Algae floating above the wastewater pipe north of Mullaloo Beach yesterday.
How do you feel about swimming here?
Not so comfortable anymore.
Watercorp says the algae is the result of the hot weather, not the treated sewage. Recent investigations show no evidence of a link between the outfall and natural algal blooms. Local advocates are vowing to run their own tests.
We used to have a lot of plus 40 degree days. If you're from Perth, you'll know this. Never seen it like that here before. So please explain that one to me.
There has been some relief from the hot weather. It's just 31 degrees here in Mullaloo today, and with the cooler weather, the algae has dissipated for now. The beach is open and popular.
The water's beautiful today. It's really nice and clear. Yeah. It's nice to swim in.
What have you been up to this morning?
Doing nippers, swimming, running, boarding.
The reprieve from the heat will be brief. It's expected to hit 39 again on Thursday.
A high likelihood that we'll see both maximum and minimum temperatures above average, so both of those contribute to heatwave conditions.
With more heatwaves likely this summer, the algae will likely return. Lucy Murray, 7 News.
King Charles has spoken out for the first time since it was revealed he's battling cancer. He's expressed his heartfelt thanks to well-wishers and praised the efforts of medical workers as he begins a second week of treatment.
A week after his diagnosis was revealed to the public, a message from the King.
Ever since he went in with what was thought to be a benign prostate procedure, he's been very open.
From His Majesty, I would like to express my most heartfelt thanks for the many messages of support and good wishes I've received in recent days. As all of those who have been affected by cancer will know, such kind thoughts are the greatest comfort and encouragement. Saying he was heartened to know his diagnosis has helped public understanding and shine a light on the work of cancer support organisations around the world. My lifelong admiration for their tireless care and dedication is all the greater as a result of my own personal experience. It's still not publicly known what type of cancer Charles is suffering from. With the King at Sandringham, his daughter-in-law isn't too far away. William and Kate have taken their children to their country home nearby for the English school holidays as the Princess continues her own recovery. Catherine hasn't been seen in public since Christmas Day. Friends say she's recovering well after planned abdominal surgery. In London, Hugh Whitfeld, 7 News.
A man has died while competing in the Southern Hemisphere's largest water skiing competition in Victoria. His death is the 7th to rock the event in 37 years.
Luke Wentworth loved water skiing and today he lost his life while competing in the Southern 80, described by loved ones as a gentleman with a massive heart and a smile to match.
I'm sure his family are grieving, community is grieving. This is an absolute tragedy.
It's understood Wentworth and his teammate were coming around a bend at speed before hitting a tree, claiming the life of the Gasser team member.
This will affect the community for months to come when everyone goes home. They did everything that they could do to help their mate.
Officials called off the competition in one of the world's major water skiing events immediately. The news breaking with a brief statement saying a skier fell and could not be revived at the scene. It's the 7th fatality in the event since 1987. The last person to lose their life on the water before today was in 2017.
When you're travelling at that speed, you've got to expect accidents.
No one would have come up here thinking that someone was going to die.
Competitors in the Southern 80 race 80 kilometres down the river, going through 120 bends. During the race, competitors can reach speeds of more than 100 kilometres an hour. And just today, there was multiple injuries on the riverbank. Police confirming all safety checks were up to date. Tyra Stowers, 7 News.
The opposition is promising to rip up new laws allowing workers to ignore after-hours contact from their bosses. The Prime Minister has already hit back at the plot as his Treasurer gives the clearest indication yet negative gearing won't be scrapped.
Honouring Australia's former prisoners of war. Anthony Albanese, the first sitting Prime Minister to visit the nation's POW memorial on its 20th anniversary. Laying a poppy as a personal gesture.
My dear friend, mentor and indeed father figure, Tom Uren.
And leaving a bipartisan tribute for another former prisoner.
From the other side of the chamber, Sir John Carrick.
The political ceasefire lasting only until the end of the ceremony as the Prime Minister delivers a new line of attack.
Peter Dutton wants Australians to work longer for less.
Seizing on a promise from the opposition to repeal workers' newly won right to ignore after-hours phone calls from bosses.
What would you undo? I mean, the right to disconnect?
Well, obviously, there's aspects of that piece of legislation that are unacceptable.
Is that something you'll go to the election promising to overturn?
Yes, we will.
He opposes their tax cuts. He opposes the measures that are put in place to lift wages.
The government looking to expose the key division ahead of the Dunkley by-election, where Labor and Australia Institute polling puts it ahead of the opposition 52 to 48. The government remains dogged by questions over whether it will reform negative gearing to improve housing affordability. This morning, the Treasurer gave his strongest indication yet.
No, that's not something that we're proposing, not something that we are considering, not something that we are working up.
As the clock counts down to the by-election. Ben Downing, 7 News.
The stars of the Australian film and television industry shone bright on the Gold Coast last night at the annual ACTA Awards. A low-budget horror movie was the big winner, but a homegrown superstar stole the show.
The Australian film industry's Night of Nights had a distinctly local flavour.
This one is very special because it's Australian. This will be the only one serving boxed wine.
The headline act was the homecoming of Hollywood heavyweight and Barbie star Margot Robbie. She returned to the Gold Coast stage where she'd once performed as a schoolgirl to receive one of the industry's highest accolades, the Trailblazer Award, presented by her childhood hero, who dressed specially for the occasion.
To be here on the Gold Coast receiving this tonight, knowing that all my wildest dreams really did come true, is unbelievably special to me.
Robbie also took home Best Lead Actress and the Audience Choice Award.
I hope you get all the awards ever made, cause you're super cool.
The big winner on the night was the horror hit Talk to Me. It won 8 actors, including Best Film, the movie the debut for filmmakers Danny and Michael Philippou, who took home Best Direction.
Sorry, oh no.
It was a night for first-timers, as one read named Best Actor for The New Boy. The 11-year-old had never acted before.
I just want to thank everybody that helped me get through the film.
The biggest applause of the evening, though, saved for the late Cal Wilson, named Best Comedy Performer.
Cal was kind, generous, supportive of everything and everyone, and we miss her every day. So thank you so much for honouring her tonight.
Bluey added to her trophy cabinet, named Best Children's Program again. The newsreader won Best Drama Series, and Colin from Accounts Best Comedy. Triumphs on the TV and at the box office, the Aussie Oscars shining a light on a thriving industry. On the Gold Coast, Liam Bland, 7 News.
Critically ill WA children have been given a dose of supercar therapy, swapping the hospital for the racetrack, getting a chance to simply be kids for the day. And it was all kicked into gear by an Instagram message to a local billionaire.
Your first supercar therapy experience. Here we go.
Tom Dutton has just beat cancer. Today, he's well and truly on the road to recovery.
We call them our VIP co-pilots.
He's one of 15 co-pilots today.
Keep going now. Nice.
The driving project gives chronically ill kids supercar therapy for a day.
Giving them a break from the treatment in the hospital as they deal with critical and chronic illnesses.
It gives them more resilience to cope with the next round of medical therapy that they're going through.
Tom knows resilience. He was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia in 2020. It's been a brutal battle. He's now in remission, and a day like this means just as much to Mum and Dad.
Amazing thing that they've set up for us here.
The driving project started in Canada and was kicked into gear here when the founder heard about Lawrence Escalante's garage.
Quite possibly has the greatest car collection on the continent.
The local tech billionaire has more than 100 rare supercars worth more than $100 million.
We sent him an Instagram message and said, hey, we're thinking maybe you might like our charity.
We were more than happy to support it.
So Lawrence supplies the cars, PCH Foundation nominates the kids, and the driving project hits the accelerator. Volunteers keep the wheels turning.
Best driver.
There's around $25 million worth of cars here. The most expensive one will set you back around $6 million alone. But the experience for these kids is priceless.
It was amazing. It was so fun. It was so fast.
Means the world to them.
And what does it mean to you?
Means the world to me.
A joyride like no other. Cyan Balance, 7 News.
Still to come on 7 News, ham ban.
Uproar as one of the most popular items on school canteen menus is banished. Trouble for the humble ham and cheese toastie. We explain the changes to food and drink rules at WA schools.
The life-changing cystic fibrosis pill now available for more patients.
Plus, all systems go as Taylor Swift touches down for the Super Bowl and former Gosnells tradie will star in.
And later, Jimmy Barnes shares some big news. The Aussie rock star opens up after heart surgery. Rental reforms and changes to gun ownership will be top priority for the government when state parliament resumes this week. Gun laws that will restrict the number of firearms anyone can own are already under fire from the gun lobby. They produced a television ad ridiculing Police Minister Paul Papalia's claim that gun ownership is a hobby, not a lifestyle. The Premier says it will have no effects.
Our new gun laws will be the toughest in the nation. We make no apology for that. Our priority is to keep Western Australians safe.
Farmers and competition shooters will be restricted to 10 firearms and recreational shooters 5.
A close-knit Victorian community has joined together in prayer for missing woman Samantha Murphy. An Anglican church in her hometown of Ballarat held a vigil for the 51-year-old a week after she disappeared.
My thoughts are with the family and friends of Samantha Murphy. It has been, I'm sure, just such a difficult time.
Hopes of finding her alive are fading with the search scaled back and few clues for investigators to go on.
A 6-month-old baby was among 7 people killed in a Russian drone strike in the Ukrainian region of Kharkiv. 3 others were injured in the attack on a petrol station. The flames destroyed 15 homes, reducing half the street to ashes. Ukraine's president has vowed a just response to what he calls Russian terror.
A number of world leaders are warning Israel against its planned offensive in Rafah, a city in southern Gaza that's filled with refugees. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is drawing up plans for troops to enter and evacuate the city ahead of a full-scale ground offensive. The EU's foreign policy chief says it would lead to an unspeakable humanitarian catastrophe.
Perth punter Mitch Wishnowsky is less than 24 hours away from what could be a history-making Super Bowl appearance. He'll line up for the 49ers in tomorrow morning's game in Las Vegas, hoping to become the first Aussie to win American sport's biggest prize.
fans all in.
You already know we represent San Francisco.
On a Niners win.
Bang, bang, Niner gang.
Hoping an Australian punter can do it for the Bay.
We love Wisnowski.
That's our boy.
I like Mitch Wisnowski. Yeah, he's a great punter.
That kick, previously coached by Nathan Chapman.
It was pretty straight up that we knew that it was a talent and we knew that we could do something with it. He had the composure and he had the power in his leg for, to have an NFL career.
He's flown from Australia to Vegas to hopefully witness history. Mitch Wisnowski is out to be the first Australian to play in and win a Super Bowl.
When I got a phone call from him, I literally nearly fell off my chair, so I was pretty excited.
Former AFL turned NFL star Ben Graham has been in Mitch's position.
He's playing his second Super Bowl in 5 years. I just love that Australian flag flying somewhere.
But the Chiefs are ready to defend their title.
We're coming for hardware. 2 rings, baby. Let's go back to back.
And they have star power on their side. The private jet believed to be carrying Taylor Swift touched down in Los Angeles this afternoon. The pop star is expected to join the party in Sin City tomorrow. She doesn't need to worry about a ticket, but for those who do, well, it's going to be a cash splash. The cheapest resale ticket, more than $8,000. Midway up the stands, $39,000. While right on halfway behind the 49ers, a ticket is on sale for over $300,000. For a chance to see your team win, it's a gamble some will take. In Las Vegas, Smiley Hogan, 7 News.
After the break, road revenge.
A motorcyclist in hospital. He punched first but lost the fight. See what happened next.
Controversial changes to WA school canteen menus. A humble favourite in trouble.
Plus, a police officer taken for a ride as a driver refuses to stop.
And a rare look on board one of Australia's top secret military assets. Most parents know packing a lunch children are willing to eat can be hard enough, but now canteen volunteers say a health crackdown is going too far. WA has junked the humble ham toastie, restricting how often the processed meat can be included on the school menu.
It's the school canteen's bread and butter, but the days of a humble ham sandwich filling hungry tummies are over. The WA Education Department has put ham in the same category as chocolates and ice cream.
To group ham cheese toasted sandwiches in that group is not what we would recommend.
Since 2007, canteen food choices have been categorised as green for nutritious, amber for occasional, or red for junk, such as chips, lollies and soft drinks, which are banned. A ham cheese toastie was green, a plain ham sandwich amber. But this year, ham is toast, moved to red and moved off the menu.
We want to make it easy for parents and for canteens to serve really healthy foods, and ham and cheese toasted sandwiches in a balanced diet can actually be an important item.
The banning of the ham toastie could spell the end for some school canteens. Volunteers say the staple helps keep their heads above water, and without it, they'll struggle to keep the shutters open. The Education Department say it's following the guidelines set by WA Health, taken seriously by some.
Processed meats, pies, ham and so forth should be considered treat foods, not everyday foods.
To others, it's laughable.
And of course, I would put ham and cheese toast sandwich in my kid's lunchbox.
There's politics when it comes to packing lunchboxes too. Paediatric dietitian Dr. Kyler says kids are being told they can't bring certain foods to school.
Weird rules, things like you can't send muesli bars that have choc chips on them. You can't send, popcorn. You can't send chocolate yogurt, chocolate custard, but you can send vanilla custard. Just weird things that don't make any sense.
Confused parents having to think outside the box. Monique Dirks, 7 News.
You're about to see the moment a Melbourne driver overreacted and ploughed into a motorbike rider after a confrontation. The rider is flung from his bike, which crashed into oncoming traffic. He'd struck first, punching the car's side mirror before being chased. Remarkably, the 25-year-old escaped with only cuts and bruises. So far, no charges have been laid.
A game-changing drug for young Australian children suffering from cystic fibrosis is finally hitting the local market.
They'll have a better shot at living longer, healthier lives now that the crucial medicine is available for kids under 6.
Reggie Davies was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis at 7 weeks old. The rare genetic disease affects his lungs, pancreas and other organs. Treating it can be intense.
He can have sort of anywhere between 15 and 20 tablets a day.
All this time, his family has known a life-changing medicine existed, but getting their hands on it in Australia was impossible.
This is a drug you want them to be on as soon as they possibly can.
Up until now, the miracle pill Trikafta had only been approved by the medicines regulator for Australians over 6 years old. Now, children with the condition aged between 2 and 6 can be prescribed it as well.
He thinks that this drug this is what's going to be the super pill that makes him big and strong.
Doctors say it's expected to extend life expectancy decades beyond 40.
The earlier we start, the less lung damage we're going to see. They're less sick, less time in hospital, more time out in the community.
The drug has been described as the closest thing to a cure for cystic fibrosis. But just because it's been approved doesn't make it affordable.
The medication itself is over $200,000 per year per patient for the rest of their life.
Last year, it was listed on the Pharmaceutical Benefits Scheme, bringing the cost of a script down to $30, but only for children over 6. The Davies hope that will soon change as well.
You're always told you can't really put a price on life, but that is putting a price on life.
Amy Clements, 7 News.
We've been given a look inside one of the Navy's best-kept secrets. A Collins-class submarine has arrived down under, giving the next generation of sailors a glimpse of what life is going to be like beneath the ocean's surface.
A rare look inside a high-tech and usually well-hidden submarine. HMAS Tsun powered into Melbourne this weekend.
So on board, we have a crew of 60 people normally.
Today, a lot more than 60. A big group of little Navy cadets is joining. For most, this is their first time in a sub.
This is the control room. It is the brain of the submarine where everything goes down.
There are 6 in the Australian fleet, all based at Garden Island near Perth. Where this one's been and where it's going are tightly held secrets.
So I was always interested in engineering and went to a careers expo, talked to Navy recruiting, so I guess recruiting works in the end.
These Collins-class submarines will eventually be replaced by nuclear-powered ones using technology from the US and the UK. But those submarines are still at least a decade away, which means the Collins-class subs, well, some of them, will be in their 40s when they're eventually decommissioned. In time, perhaps, for the next generation.
It was just such a full room. It was so cool. You really don't expect it. It's incredible. You don't really experience anything like that.
Some US officials fear America's submarine building capacity can't keep up with its own requirements, let alone sell 3 to another country. Of the 60 crew, 10 are women. Rhiannon is a combat system operator.
We figure out what kind of ships are around us, what they're doing, and we pass that information on to the control room.
But that's work. Right now, it's time for play.
Growing up here, I've got some family that I can see, but otherwise just being a bit of a tourist, looking at hot air balloon rides in Melbourne CBD, bit of fun, waking up early.
Blake Johnson, 7 News.
Coming up, food fears.
A dramatic surge in Australians stealing meat from supermarket shelves. After the break, details on a major cost of living crime wave.
Plus, Perth celebrates Lunar New Year.
Blame it on the boogie, a major stake in Michael Jackson's music catalogue sold for a whopping price.
Jimmy Barnes now recovered and revealing some big news.
And coming up in Sunday Sport, Eagles fans, the interview you don't want to miss. Freo with some bad news on Heath Chapman and the boy from Thornley and his $19 million contract.
Now, Fuel Watch. Perth's petrol prices brought to you by Fuel Watch and 7 News.
Thousands of people are flocking to Northbridge for Chinese New Year. Street food, dragon dances and parades painted city streets today.
The Chinese New Year fair and festival has become one of our biggest multicultural events, but one of our biggest events full stop. It's a great way to honour the Chinese community and their contribution.
The Lunar New Year of the Dragon officially kicked off yesterday, symbolising wisdom, power and prosperity. Celebrations will continue until 9 o'clock tonight.
One of the most influential figures in Australian media has died at the age of 81. Harold Mitchell founded media buying company McMillan Partners in 1976, going on to become the largest communications group in the country. His success prompting Seven boss Kerry Stokes to describe him as a visionary. Mitchell was also recognised for his charity work. It's understood he died after complications from knee surgery.
Supermarkets are battling an alarming rise in meat theft, with millions of dollars worth pinched from shelves every day. But despite a cost of living crisis, experts claim it's not those in need who are driving the crime wave.
Captured filling his basket with steaks, then leaving with them tucked under his jacket. Authorities believe this man is a professional shoplifter.
It's actually the organised criminals who are really behind this. So we're seeing that 10% of offenders are actually causing 60% of the crime.
The theft of meat from Australian supermarkets jumped by 85% over the last year. The sharpest rise was in pork products, followed by lamb and beef.
They can on-sell that quite easily. So that's going to local markets, bars and restaurants, and then online marketplaces. That profit is in funding more serious things like organised crime, gangs, guns and drugs.
Research also found those involved in the black market practice are 4 times more likely to be aggressive with supermarket staff and shoppers who try to intervene.
Staff are left very apprehensive. It's a staff wellbeing issue. And of course, it also hits the bottom line.
In total, it's believed shoplifting costs retailers more than $15 million every day.
New South Wales has been exemplary, along with South Australia, for introducing increased penalties.
While authorities work to combat issues of theft, customers can also play an important role by only buying meat and other products from reputable stores.
If you are seeing a deal that's too good to be true, it probably is.
Jodie Lee, 7 News.
Sony Music has bought half of Michael Jackson's music catalogue, reportedly forking out almost $1 billion for some of the King of Pop's biggest hits. If the figure's accurate, it would be the largest amount ever paid for a single musician's work. His 1982 album Thriller is still the best-selling record of all time, according to Guinness World Records.
Adrian Barich is here with Sport Now, and Barry, you have a revealing interview with a star eagle.
Yes, we do, Ange. Yes, Tim. Ryan Daniels, he sat down with Tom Barras and he was very surprised at what he divulged. That's next, Eagles fans, plus a bit of Docker drama. Our exclusive shots of Heath Chapman's devastating injury. How long will he be sidelined for? And the big show does it again, 120 runs off just 55 balls at the Adelaide Oval. Eagles premiership star Tom Barras has opened up about the injury that almost ended his AFL career. In an exclusive interview with Ryan Daniels, the 28-year-old says he's lucky to still be playing.
A split-second contest that'll stay with Tom Barras for life.
I went up for a mark against Richmond and Jack Rewalt came back into me and tunnelled me a little bit.
Yep.
And anyway, I've gone over and landed on my neck effectively.
Left with a broken back.
It was a compression fracture to my T8 and I've wedged about 5 of my other vertebrae, a bit shorter. So it's just something I'm going to have to manage forever. I'm really lucky that I'm paraplegic or a quadriplegic.
7 months on, the pain still lingers.
It still gives me a bit of trouble in my everyday life. It's okay when I'm moving, but as soon as I'm static, I feel like I've got a broken back again. This is a permanent thing, and it's something that I work on from the second I wake up. I've got to do mobility and get moving and find a way to come to work, because it is my job, ultimately, at the end of the day. I still consider myself lucky to have the life that I have, and in the scheme of things, it's a problem that I can manage, and a bit of suffering is good, I hear.
Could it shorten your career at all?
I think there's certainly a risk of that, yeah.
Yeah.
but with the physiotherapy and some of the other medical treatments that are available to me, I'm able to get out of bed and get moving and get along with my life mostly.
I'm sitting here thinking if this were me, it'd be screaming into my brain to say don't play footy. Is it worth the risk? Because it feels like if you do it again, you're in real trouble.
Yeah, if I do it again, I'm certainly in trouble. But mate, I'm like you in that I've got a mortgage and this is my job, and I've got a family and I've got to go to work every day. And you know, there's a point at which I'll certainly stop trying and try to. I'll have to completely prioritise things, but mate, I've got a job, I've got a role to play, and I'm going to do my very best to try and balance all the balls while I can, and if that becomes unmanageable, then I'll have to say goodbye.
Ryan Daniels, 7 News.
Fremantle young gun Heath Chapman is set to miss the start of the AFL season after scans confirmed a moderate tear to his hamstring, which happened in yesterday's intra-club match at Coburn. The Docker was visibly upset when the injury happened, and after just 3 AFL games last season due to 3 injuries, it's likely the club will take a conservative approach with the 21-year-old. He's likely to be sidelined for at least 2 months. Chapman has so far been able to avoid surgery, but that could now change. Glenn Maxwell punished the West Indies at the Adelaide Oval tonight. The Aussies got off to a shaky start, with opener Josh Inglis falling for just 4, but Mitch Marsh came to the crease on a mission, smashing 29 runs off just 11 balls.
Marsh advances, gets it very high. There's no one way back there. We've lost sight of that. Third row.
Dave Warner made 22 off 19 balls, while Glenn Maxwell lived up to his nickname of the Big Show, unbeaten on 120 off just 55 balls, which included 12 fours and 8 sixes. Australia made 4 for 241, a record T20 international score for the Adelaide Oval. And Australia's spin queen, WA Cricket's Alana King, had a night out in the third one-dayer against South Africa, taking 4 wickets in just 11 balls to lead the Aussies to a big 110-run win.
And King's going to be on a hat-trick.
Alana King, look at her. The smile says it all.
Sure does. Australia heads into the final test of the multi-format series with an 8-4 lead. Next up is South Africa right here at the Wacker, which starts on Thursday. And as you may know, the Perth Wildcats are locked into a top 2 spot after thumping Cairns 117-88 at RAC Arena last night, with representatives from NBA clubs the Spurs, Cavaliers and Hawks in the building. Alex Sarr produced another game that would have thrilled the scouts.
Henshaw up to Sarr! Oh, fireworks in Perth!
Truly is fortunate that he has teammates that truly care about his future.
The potential NBA number 1 draft pick scored 14 points, won 12 rebounds, had 3 blocks and even a steal. Opal's legend Lauren Jackson says she's done with international basketball for good this time. The 42-year-old great retired again after helping the Aussies punch their ticket to Paris with a win over Germany at the qualifying tournament in Brazil.
Lauren Jackson will take the 3 and knock it down.
If she's open, she's going to take her shot. She can do it all.
It'll be the 10th Olympic tournament for the mighty Opals. And the white knuckle ride of Ange Postecoglou's first season in charge of Tottenham has continued. Spurs scored in the 96th minute to defeat Brighton overnight, jumping back into the Premier League's top 4.
Ange Postecoglou promised entertainment when he took over at Tottenham, and he certainly delivered.
We should always be looking for goals. If you look at all my teams historically, they've always done that.
From 1-0 down to Brighton,
Off the post!
Spurs' league worst tally of 8 goals conceded in the 90th minute or later flipped on its head.
Brennan Johnson, 6 minutes of second half stoppage time.
There's always going to be goals late in our games, and we delivered again.
A 2-1 win, Tottenham back up to 4th to sit in the Asian Cup final, a bit of magic for Qatar.
He with the sleight of hand and the sleight of foot.
Akram Afif's hat-trick of penalties leading the host to consecutive titles, impressing Tim Cahill. 3-1 over Jordan. James Manton, 7 News.
Great stuff, and an embarrassing moment for Sydney FC striker Patrick Wood, who missed an absolute sitter.
Anything can and does happen, because that, you will never see that again. That is the most astonishing miss.
Yeah, they're calling it the A-League's worst ever miss. Sydney FC still won though, 3-1 over the Mariners. That poor bloke. Australia's best beach volleyballers have been on display all weekend at Scarborough Beach, battling it out at the WA Open. WA's Jed Walker and Solomon Bushby won the men's elite grand final, and local player Keith Crean and Anna Donlan took out the women's title. And former Perth Demon Mitch Wisnowski could be about to become the first Australian to win a Super Bowl ring. The 30-year-old punter has a $19 million contract with the San Francisco 49ers.
No Australian has ever played in and won a Super Bowl. What would it mean if you were the first?
A lot. It would be cool to sort of, be the first Australian and, hopefully, inspire people back in Australia, kids or anyone that sort of wants to have a crack at their dream.
Good on you, Mitch. Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes had one thing on his mind: dynasty.
I've seen greatness in front of me. I've seen Tom, I've seen Peyton, and I watched that growing up. And I want to do whatever I can that I can be that inspiration for the generation behind me.
A dynasty. Our Super Bowl coverage starts from 6 a.m. tomorrow on 7 Mate, moving to this channel at 9 a.m. And now that Mitch, he played for my club. He used to kick the ball from the goal square to the middle of Lathlane Park. Wow. It was freakish. No wonder.
That's why he's in the Super Bowl.
And his parents say, what is it?
Wisnowski.
Wisnowski. And the Americans say Wisnowski.
Yeah,
that's right.
300 million people have all got it wrong.
That's good.
Thanks, Farah. He's still on the mend from major surgery, but already rock legend Jimmy Barnes is returning to the stage.
The Cold Chisel frontman has announced his new tour will kick off in Perth, but it's not the big stage production we've come to expect.
8 weeks post-open heart surgery, Jimmy Barnes is already back.
Hey guys, Jimmy here, how are you?
The Cold Chisel star thanking his supporters on social media after a bacterial infection spread to his heart valve in December, threatening the 67-year-old's life.
I want to thank you all for your support. While I was ill, all your good wishes, it really helped me a hell of a lot. The family were passing on your messages all the time, and it lifted their spirits, and it really lifted my spirits. Thank you so much.
Now recovered and with big news, the soul of rock and roll also announcing his highly anticipated return to the stage.
First off, I can't wait to get back on stage in front of the band and playing for all of you. I'm happy to announce that my first show back on stage this year will be the legendary Byron Bay Blues Fest.
From there, Barnesy will headline the Red Hot Summer Tour with rescheduled shows planned across New South Wales, Victoria and Tasmania. Then he'll set off on an intimate regional theatre tour titled Hell of a Time.
He is a marvel and he is a wonder and is an inspiration.
The Hell of a Time tour will kick off in Perth and finish right here at Sydney's Opera House. You can get your tickets on February 19.
A stripped-back, intimate regional tour with lots of stories, lots of songs.
Grace Fitzgibbon, 7 News.
Perth will sweat through another hot week.
Stay with us. The weather forecast is coming up next.
Know your suburb.
Jerry Damasi is live at the port tonight.
Know Perth.
Police have spent the morning here at a gun shop in Midvale.
Know the news first.
It was hotter than expected today. Perth reached a top of 37.5 after getting down to 18 overnight. Looking interstate tomorrow, hot and sunny for Melbourne, clear skies and 29 for Sydney, a shower or two in Brisbane. Here in the west, 35 for Broome, windy for Geraldton, clouds clearing Bunbury and 32, showers for the south coast and a scorcher for Kalgoorlie. There's a strong wind warning for local waters, seas to 2.5 metres, the swell a metre. So it's going to be another hot week ahead. Tonight getting down to 20 40 in Perth, then climbing to a top of 35 tomorrow under clear skies. The same for Tuesday, up to 37 Wednesday, soaring even higher Thursday up to 39. Then a cooler change for Friday before it jumps back up into the high 30s next weekend. And lastly, congratulations to Barry and Vel Newbecker from Kareen, who are celebrating their 60th wedding anniversary today.
That is 7 News for this Sunday. Thanks for joining us.
I'll be back with evening updates. Stay with us now for Australian Idol.